भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। दिवि भूमौ तथाकाशे बहिरन्तश्च मे विभुः यो विभात्यवभासात्मा तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। 12th January 1863, this great man, Swami Vivekananda, was born, creating a new era, and that was an extraordinary, wonderful thing that happened. And today being that day, I thought that let me share a few ideas before we take up the satsang, indicating about the way, what is that, a phenomena called Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Swami Vivekananda, Sharda Devi. They appeared on this planet Earth, and then what is that they have accomplished? You know, these are the two aspects of it. People would like to fill their life with age. That means to say they live longer, much longer, and all the research in the medical field is happening to see that how we can increase the longevity of people. Earlier it was about 30, 40, something like that. Now it has become 70, 80. We would like to bring it bigger, much more higher. So that means to say fill the life with the age. But then what do you do with that age? When you fill with the life with the age, you really do not know what to do. And finally what will happen is that we will try to, because that we have that age, we try to fill that with that. Like for example, I was in, I don't know for what reason, that there is a spiritual retreat in Las Vegas. That's the last place that you could think of as spiritual retreat. And I happened to be there with our group, and then at 12 o'clock in the night we went to bed. Morning 5 o'clock we got up, and myself and my friend, we were taking a walk at 6:30, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock actually is midnight for Las Vegas. Everybody will be going to bed. Absolutely there is nobody, but place is a wonderful place. It's all open, you can just walk around. Lovely place. And then we were walking, and suddenly I heard somebody pulling the lever of the, that machines, coin machines are there. So we just went closer to that place, and then there two American women were sitting, and then they were pulling the lever. So, good morning, good morning. I said, wow. So, my mother used to say that early morning there'll be luck. And the idea was, my mother always used to say that we would like sleepy in the night. Say, come on, get up early in the morning and study for the exam, so that things will enter into your head. And not only that, whatever that you study, it will come in the exam. I don't know whether it is true or not, but then that is saying. So the same thing I told them, that you think that you are trying for early morning luck, so that you will win the things there. Oh, there's nothing like that. Actually, just putting the money. We couldn't get sleep, therefore we came here and we are trying to put the money here. That's all. Not really earning anything. We are killing time. See, this word is very useful. Killing the time. I was just wondering, to give you this time, that means to say the longevity, American government spends billions of dollars of research to see that they give you this time. And that time you want to kill it? What an unfortunate thing it is. I was thinking that. That means to say, filling the life with age, you live for a longer period of time, that's the only thing. But longer in comparison with another human being, you look at another species, it's no more longer. Like for example, crocodile lives for 300 years. But then what is the use of it? So there are some people, wise people, who filled life, age with life. That means to say they might have lived a short life, but then they filled that with so much of life behind it. That means every minute that they lived is equivalent to years that we spent. And that's one of the reasons why in the scriptures and the Puranas they say about Rama lived for so many thousand years and then Dashatha lived for so many thousands of years. That really means that each year that we live, the kind of work that they do, the kind of reach that they have with the people is like 1,000 years. That's how it is counted. In any case, what happens is that there are people who lived short life, but they filled their life with so much of activity, livelihood, liveliness. And that's what is two beautiful examples that we have in our culture. One is Shankaracharya and the other is Vivekananda. Shankaracharya did not even live beyond 33 years, whereas Vivekananda did not live beyond 39 years. See, similarity behind them. And Shankaracharya at a very early age, and then he achieved such a great glory. And the same thing about Vivekananda. In fact, at the age of 7 years, he left his house, Shankaracharya, went on foot all around the country. There's such a beautiful account that is there when he was in Narmada river side. At that point of time, he was actually writing the commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Early morning, sitting at the banks of Ganga. And then while writing, it is morning, therefore sunrise was there, so he had to take the morning Sandhya ablutions, therefore he kept that and then went to take the river in the bath in the river, that is Narmada. At that point of time, Gaudapada, a great saint, and then he came walking on the Narmada banks. Suddenly he saw some leaves on which that somebody has written something, so that he just naturally it caught his eyes, and then he looked into it. When he looked into it, he saw it was a Bhagavad Gita shloka, Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pashyato mune. And then immediately he read what is that commentary that somebody has written. When he read that commentary, he was really fascinated. Said, I must meet that person who wrote this commentary. And they were waiting there. When I was waiting there, this Shankaracharya came, 7 or 8-year-old boy, and then he was just packing up his leaves and all that. For that, Gaudapada objected to him, saying that, hey, don't disturb this leaves because somebody is doing some work here. Shankara replied to him, I am writing this. And he was pleasantly shocked. He said, this is what you are writing? Yes. And then he gave his pravara. Aham bodhiva abhivatayet. I am the Shankara, coming from Kaladi. Who is your guru? I said, my father was guru, but then my father left me after my initiation, and then he left the world. You desire a good guru, then you go to Gaudapada. He directed him to go to Gaudapada. That means at the age of 7 years or 8 years, he was writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita. By the time that he was 24, that he went around the whole country 3 times, 4 times, and establishing 4 mathas in all 4 different corners of the country. All that he has done, it looks like that he was hurried in going back. These are the people who lived that life extraordinarily. Similarly, another person is Vivekananda. Lived a short life, but then extraordinary, brilliant life. Not only that, it is so concentrated life. That means to say every word that he spoke, every activity that he has done has such an extraordinary, wonderful impact. That's what Swami Vivekananda is. Like a very simple idea that is that he was traveling once from Bombay to Belgaum in the train, the first class compartment, and there was a Marwadi who was actually accompanying him. He bought both for himself and Swamiji first class train ticket, and they were sitting in the first class. There's a Britisher who entered into the first class, and those days we were the slave country. So a Britisher entered into the first class. The moment Britisher entered, the Indians who were there, a couple of them, and also this Marwadi, they got up from their seat and then sitting on the floor. When this Marwadi was sitting on the floor, Swamiji pulled him up and then put him back onto the seat, giving an idea that, look, you have a valid ticket, so you sit on the seat. The Britisher was feeling uncomfortable, and then he looked at Swamiji. Nothing could be said because somehow Swamiji's radiance was like that. But then he was restless. Somehow he wanted to take some action. So therefore he looked around and there was a TT on the platform. He called the TT. And the TT came inside, and that Britisher told that TT, probably he wanted to show off his knowledge about English also, Hindi also. So therefore he told the TT, showing the Indian, that is the Marwadi, he said, iska ticket check karo. Immediately Swamiji took him to task, saying that, look, you don't know this person. You cannot say iska. You should say inka ya aapka. That's what is the right way of using the Sanskrit in Hindi. That was the fault of Britisher. Immediately recognized his fault. He said, I'm sorry, Hindi is not my language. Now he switched over to English. In English he said to the TT that check the ticket of this man. Swamiji immediately took him, saying that British are known to give etiquette, and then see, you are supposed to say this gentleman, not man. That means again in English he found his mistake. Second time when it has happened, now he didn't have an answer. The TT checked the ticket. They had valid tickets. And then he was about to go away from that compartment. And then Swamiji said, your job is to check the ticket of everybody. Then he asked the Britisher to show the ticket. Unfortunately, Britisher didn't have the ticket. It was a third insult, injury, and all those things. And just to save the situation, that TT put the Britisher, took him away, and then put him somewhere else in another compartment. At that time, Swami Vivekananda said to the British Indians who were there, he said that British are not ruling us, we allowed them to rule us. The day when you ask them to go back, they will go back. How firmly he said, how strongly he said, how powerfully that he said. This happened in somewhere around 1891 or so, 1890, 91. But then 30, 40 years later, when Gandhiji was being tried for the article that he has written in the Nagpur court, at that time Gandhiji said that he will argue his case himself, and everybody is eagerly waiting the way that Bapuji is going to defend his case. Public prosecutor read all the charges on Gandhiji, saying that he incited people, he wrote articles, he made them to, revolt against British, this, that, all kinds of things. Everybody was angry, waiting for Bapuji to give a proper reply. Whereas on the other hand, Bapuji was very peaceful. And then chance came, and then he got up and said, my dear Judge Saab, I'm glad to be here, and I thank our public prosecutor because he presented my case so beautifully. Probably I would not have presented so beautifully as he did it, because he's an English gentleman. He did it very nicely. And he made you to understand clearly. I don't have anything else to say. Only one thing, that, my dear judge, this is exactly what I wanted to do. I did it for the simple reason that I wanted to say that we can take care of ourselves. You please go back. What Swamiji said, Bapuji repeated it. That's all. That means to say the power of Swamiji's words, 30, 40 years later also it worked like that magic. And British judge, he gave a simple judgment, of a simple prison for 1 month, Gandhiji, 1 month imprisonment. But second, he continued the letter saying that, but this man opened my eyes, therefore here is my resignation. I'm going back to US, England. That was the beginning of the people from England marching back to England. That was the beginning of the Britishers withdrawing. That is how Swamiji was influential. Another very important aspect that Swamiji, extraordinary piece of the power in the words, that not only what he said, but what he has written carried that kind of an information. In Kargil war, in Chinese war in 1970s, the whole platoon was bombed. Everybody died. After 3-4 hours, one person in the whole platoon just got up because he did not die. He was only unconscious because of the bullet injury. He got up. He saw all his friends died. And that put him into greater sorrow, sadness, because he started thinking that if any one of them would have been alive, there is somebody back at home who would be really happy to enjoy his presence, because that others, they show their pictures of the family, the letters from the family. When the festival comes, what they used to do with the family and all that they used to explain. Whereas he himself was an orphan. He doesn't have anybody, no family, no nothing. He doesn't even know where he comes from. That is the kind of a person. So that is, he was feeling sad. But anyway, whatever that nature, Vidata has it. A few hours later, a helicopter came and picked him up, took him to Bombay in a hospital, and then they repaired the leg that he had the injury. 3-4 months he was in the hospital, then he became mobile, he was able to walk. The hospital discharged him, asking him to go back home. He thought his home is only army, because that's what he knew. And then he went to the army headquarters. They said that you are injured in the battle, so therefore we retire you. We don't want to take you back into the army. You can go home. He didn't know where to go because he doesn't have any home. All that he had a home is that his own platoon, and all the platoon people, they were all in heaven. So he thought, now because they are all there in heaven, so let me also go to heaven. That's my home. So he thought that's a good idea. And then he went to a shop, bought a bottle of poison, and then took that poison and slept in the park, thinking that he will reach the heaven and then the municipality will clear his body. He was very assured. And then he lied down in the park. 3-4 hours later, he got up. And then he found himself again in the park. He did not find himself in heaven, because the adulteration is so bad that the poison did not kill him. He said, what an unfortunate fellow I am. The doctors don't want me in the hospital. Army doesn't want me anymore. Even the death guard doesn't want me. I'm the most unwanted fellow. So what to do? In that desperation, there was some second-hand bookshop that was there. He just picked up one book. That was a small book of quotation of Swami Vivekananda, because after all, he doesn't know much of reading and writing. So he picked up that book, and there, the moment that he opened that book, the quotation that is in front of him was Swamiji saying, I don't mind taking 100 times rebirth if I can remove the tears of one person. When he read that, it just suddenly struck him. He said, what is this? This man says that he doesn't mind coming 100 times rebirth to remove the tears of one person. And I am alive here and trying to die. Why not I go and help people to remove the tears? That one thought came. Immediately looked at the daily newspaper cutting that was lying down there. He just picked up. Newspaper said in Maharashtra, the farmers are killing themselves because of the drought. So let me go there and help them. So he went all the way. He didn't have a place to stay. See, for somebody who doesn't have a place to stay, everything is his own place. So he went to that village, and then there was a Vinayaka temple, Siddha Vinayaka temple, that became his house. He stayed there in the temple. And he talked with the people and all that, gave the schemes of what to do with the water and all this, how he developed all in such a way that in a couple of years that they produce enough food grains to serve to the whole of Maharashtra. And not only that, today they can supply to the whole India. And that person who was changed by one word of Swami Vivekananda, that was Anna Hazare. That means to say, the power of Swamiji's words were so extraordinary that one word has created an Anna Hazare out of an ordinary, simple human being. A depressed, dejected kind of a person can become like that. This was the power of Swami Vivekananda. Not only that, when he was going to America, 1892, 93, he was in the ship. The ship, his co-passenger was Jamshedji Naushirwanji Tata, the senior Tata was there. 60s plus year old man, a very wealthy man and royal person. And then here is this boy, hardly 25, 20, 26, 27. And then he met him on the ship. And the way that Swamiji was talking about that impressed Tata. And immediately Tata came to this person, young fellow, and then said that you seem to have an extraordinary vision in your life about India. In your vision, what is the role that I have to play? What role for me? Swami Vivekananda at that time told him, saying that India's future of India depends upon the technology and science. And we need to excel in science and technology if India has to go march forward. And we require institutions of the nature of Harvard and Cambridge are better than that. And so start an institution. And I have shown a place to Mysore King, Mysore Maharaja, where that place is, and then you take that place and start an institution. And then later on, Swamiji also 6 months later, he wrote a letter to Mysore King, and that letter is there. The copy of that letter is available everywhere. And that Tata picked up that particular idea and constructed what is called as Indian Institute of Science. Those days it is Tata's institution, it used to call. Later on, government has annexed that institution called as the Indian Institute of Science. And in the parliament, Nehru has said that we should start IITs, IIMs in the line of IISc, Indian Institute of Science in the line IIT and IIM. And that means to say basically whatever Swamiji Vivekananda said, and its offshoot is what we have IITs and IIMs. And later on, Bill Gates, in about 2000 years or something like that, when he said that on my right hand I have Harvard and Stanford and Cambridge and all that. On my left hand I have IITs. And when you look at it, 70% of the engineering force under Bill Gates, he is from India, and out of which at least 70-80% are from IITs. So that shows that whatever Swamiji said has become a reality 100 years later. This is the kind of a person who gave a message. So that's why if Vivekananda, whatever the message that has given, if it is true for at that time, true for now, and true for another 100,000 years later also. Therefore, I would recommend everyone to read Swami Vivekananda's literature, Swami Vivekananda's life, the way that he lived. There are so many things that are there. I could speak from point of view of Vivekananda. It's extraordinary. Particularly when he came back from USA to India, at that time he landed in Colombo in Sri Lanka. And those days it was part of India, Ceylon. And at Colombo, he traveled all the way up to Himalayas. And Himalayas, the place is Almora. So there are series of talks that he has given from Colombo to Almora. On the way he gave talks in Madurai, Madras, Chennai, those days it was Madras, and then probably in Hyderabad and Calcutta, and all the way up to Almora that he gave talks. And those talks were recorded by one of his, he had a stenographer who accompanied him from America. His name is Godwin. He took the whole notes and wrote that book. And there you can see that it is all Swamiji's extempore lectures that are there. A book brought out in the form of a book. When you read that book, you can see that how much inspiring those ideas that Swamiji has given. It was inspiring at that time for giving the life, for dying for the country. And therefore, all our national leaders, whether it is Savarkar onwards, right up to Mahatma Gandhi, or later on the leaders and all that, they were all inspired by Swami Vivekananda, who gave life, but also who lived for this country. They also are inspired by Swami Vivekananda. Today, we don't have to die for the country or for the culture, but you have to live for the culture and country with that respect and regard, and that's what Swami Vivekananda's teachings will give us. It's very important to have that Swami Vivekananda's literature that we take it forward. Another very important aspect is Swami Vivekananda and all his teachings are not confined to any particular culture, particular organization, particular country, or anything like that. It always goes beyond the boundaries. That's the reason why, and Swamiji, when he spoke in America at the Parliament of World Religions, it was something which is an extraordinary, wonderful speech. The people who were there at the Parliament, several of them have become his disciples during that time and even after that. He was in England, and then people from England and from Ireland, they followed him. And one such great lady who followed from Ireland, Swami Vivekananda, was Sister Nivedita. You can see that how influential Swamiji was beyond the boundaries. It means at that time when India did not even have the freedom under the British rule, this man could create that kind of an impression that where we could think of the world as one unit, and then India is the source of the knowledge for the whole world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the one universe, and that's what is the one world. And that is the idea that Swami Vivekananda gave at the Parliament of Religions at that time. There are a lot of things that we could talk about Parliament of Religion, but very important thing is that out of 60 speakers, 60 odd speakers that were there at the parliamentary session, and he was 32nd speaker. He is not that only very unique speaker or anything like that, 32nd speaker. And then each one got about 10 minutes of time or less than 10 minutes of time. Swamiji also spoke for 9 minutes. But look at the way, and also that there was galaxy of Christian missionary speakers who were there. Apart from that, several other religions were also there. In spite of all that galaxy of the intellectuals, highly prepared, highly educated, all that was there, Swamiji could become popular. There must be something which is extraordinary about him. And we are very fortunate that we are celebrating his birthday today after so many years, 165 years. And we'll continue to be inspired by Swami Vivekananda. Thank you so much. Normally what happens is, coming back to the Yoga Vasistha, often people say that, Shastras also say very eloquently about all these Arishadvargas, they are the enemies, and then you fight with them, you control them, you discipline them. Your anger, hatred, jealousy, all these things, they are bad. And they only take you away from your nature. And they're all supposed to be the enemies. And therefore that we have ideas. Shad Ripu. Ripu means enemy. So therefore you fight with them. And then again the scriptures also says the more and more that you fight with them, that means they become stronger than you. After all, that where are they coming from? Where do they get the feed from? It is from you. Therefore, that's why they become stronger. We also have such people, like the name of Shatrughna comes. In fact, in Ramayana, when you look at Shatrughna, Shatrughna did not go for any war. And in fact, the major Ramayana war was when happened, it was only Rama and Lakshmana were there. Bharata and Shatrughna were never there. But then his name was Shatrughna. Shatru means enemy, and one who has conquered is Shatrughna. One who has decimated is the Shatrughna. But how is that his name is Shatrughna? In fact, he did not conquer any war. He did not go for any war. Only account later on it comes about Shatrughna is that when after Rama returned from Ayodhya, from forest Ayodhya, and everything was very beautiful, everything was very organized, very developing and all those things. At that time, people from Gandhara Desha, that is present day Afghanistan, Gandhara Desha, they came to Rama and then they requested Rama that why don't you annex Gandhara Desha into your kingdom? You become like India, that is your Hastinapur, that is, you are the whole of kingdom, Ayodhya kingdom and all that. Let it become the whole thing as one. Rama said, no, you continue to be there, but only I will send a king for you so that he'll be able to independently rule that. And at that time, Rama sent, a record shows that Rama sent Shatrughna to that place. It's not for conquering Afghanistan, present day Afghanistan, those days Gandhara Desha, but to see that, help them to have a good administration, that Shatrughna went there. Shatrughna is known for a very good administration, establishing an administration in a totally new land. And that is where basically Shatrughna sent. But he was not an enemy for. But then what is that Shatrughna? One who conquered the Shatru that is there inside, which is supposed to be our senses and our diversions that are there, and all those things that's supposed to be Shatru. And Shatrughna was like that. But then Valmiki in Yoga Vasistha has a totally different view. And it's very, very beautiful view. I think if we can really work on that, that may be very useful. And that is where basically last time we had that quote, Raga niragatam gacha, Dvesha niddoshatam vraja, Bhavadbhyam suchinam kalam, Iha prakriditam maya. He says, actually this is where Rama is addressing the raga, that means to say the desire, attachment, passion. He says, oh my dear passion, he addresses so respectfully to the passion. Hey raga, that means hey passion, niragatam gacha, go into the state of passionlessness. You go and befriend with the passionlessness. And similarly, he says the second one, Dveshaha nirdoshatam vraja. Nidveshatam vraja. That means a hatred. Rama is addressing that it's actually Veeta havya, and Veeta havya addressing, hey hatred. Proceed to the state of free of hatredness. You go to the state of where there is free, it is free from hatredness. And then he says that further he adds, Veeta adds, Bhavadbhyam suchiram kalam iha prakriditam maya. Bhavadbhyam, that means both of you, that means it's actually all of you, similar kind of thing. With respect he addresses, with respect he says that, yeah, I played with you enough for a long time. And I played with you all the days, all the time. All the time I used to have a play of raga, play of dvesha, play of all those things that were there. Pairs of opposite, I was playing. Now it's enough, I played enough. Now you are respectful. Therefore that you go and back to the places where that you don't. Your opposite is there, that you be with that. Leave me. With the respect that he requests them. This is what is Veeta havya. That last time I was telling that his name is Veeta havya. Havya means basically the activity, and then Veeta havya, that activities have dropped. Activities, what is the activity that is dropped? Activity is born out of raga, born out of desha. They just dropped because that raga and dvesha, they went and took the shelter under friendship, under raga of freedom and then dvesha freedom. And that exactly the same thing that he comes, not only that he requests them, but he offers his respect to them. In fact, all the bad qualities that you pay your respects to that is something which is very important. Bhoga namustu yushmabhyam janmakoti shatanyaham bhavadbhihi lalito loke lalakai vira bhavakaha. This is page 184, 23rd sutra. Hey enjoyment, that's what is bhoga. Namostu ishmabhyam, my salutations to you. Ishmahabhyam, that means to say it is plural. Enjoyments are plural, and all these enjoyments that are there in plural, that I offer my pranams to you. I offer my salutations to you. I've been fondled by you during hundreds of millions of my births. Ishmabhyam janmakoti shatanyaham. Janmakot shatanyaham. For several janmas, for several births. And bhavadbhi lalito loke. In this world, every time I was brought into this world, and this particular enjoyment that are there, he is tossing me around from one to the other all the time, and have been played. It is like the way that you are like a football, and then this enjoyment is played with you. Enjoyment is there in this object, and then enjoyment is there in that object, and then soon that you don't find enjoyment, immediately says that go to the other object. So we shift from object to object for the sake of enjoyment. We are shifting from the object to object, we are thinking, but actually who is shifting us? It is that enjoyment, seeking for the enjoyment, running for the enjoyment is the one which is driving us from place to place. And not only that you are running from place to place, you are in a hurry. One leaves that you want to go to the other, leaves before that you want to go to the other, you want to make sure that other is there. Know very well that it is short-lived. Rather than holding on to the joy, that we holding on to the enjoyment. Therefore, we try to keep tossing around by the enjoyment. Bhoga namostate shmabhyam janmakoti shatanyaham and bhavabdihi lalito loke lalakairiva bhalakaha. Like the way that a child being fondled by various people, mother holds the child, but somebody else comes and takes the child, somebody else takes that child, just goes on and on. And that's how basically you are being pulled by, pushed by these enjoyments again and again from different. It's not just one life, life after life. But he says that balakaha, that means to say, balaka is that where the child does not have a control over himself. It's the others who carry the child. The same way that you don't have a control over yourself, that it is the enjoyments which shift from the other. The same enjoyment which has given you saying that, look, I don't give you any more joy, why don't you go to the other object? Other object also says the same thing. You come in, but then at the same time says that you go to the other object. In fact, many times what happens is that we are in such a hurry that we don't even enjoy this object, we are already looking for the second one. Like I was one day watching the tourist bus which landed in Mysore Palace. Mysore Palace is a huge place. A lot of things that are there to see in that palace. And then there is a tourist bus. Usually the tourist people, they come. They have an agenda of something like covering about 2-3 places and all the things that are tourist attractions, and you have to finish that. And there'll be a tour guide. And tour guide is somebody who must have had a couple of experiences earlier and all that. So I was listening over her, hearing that tour guide lady, and then she got everybody from the bus. They are foreigners who were there, and then said, look, this is Mysore Palace. Now we finished it. So we go to the next two, Chamudi Hills. And then we have to leave for Chamudi Hills by 4 o'clock. That means you have to come back by 3:30 here. You did not even go inside. You did not even look at the palace. You did not even see the palace. And these days you have to take so many pictures of the palace in so many angles and all those things. And inside when you go, you don't know what is the treasure that you have. But then she says that in 1 hour, you have to come back. Even if you straight walk in Mysore Palace, just to walk, don't look at here and there. Like the way that the horses have that blinds, and then you put that blinds and all and walk. It takes 1 hour for you to walk through the palace. And while looking at the others here and there, why it is like that? Because you're already thinking that you have to go to the next object, next object. This is how we are running. We are shifting from plane to plane, object to object, situation to situation for the sake of happiness, enjoyment. This is what he says that, oh my dear enjoyment, he says that my salutations to you. I offer my salutation. I don't think anybody has said so boldly that you salute the enjoyments. And saying that I've been fondled by you enough during hundreds of millions of years, births in this world, just as a child is fondled by the people. They just move the child, and one time the child gets messed up so much, gets irritated and starts crying, and then he doesn't want to stay with anybody at that time. All that he wants is his mother, goes back to rest with his mother. So therefore, imam api param punyam nirvana padavim aham yena vismarati tasmai sukhayastu manomana namo namaha. Namo namaha. Repeated salutations. I again and again salute you to the pleasure. Imam, hey pleasure, that's what I salute to, which I was made to, and you are such an extraordinary, wonderful person. The pleasure. You are so wonderful that I was made to forget even the highest and holy position of nirvana. Imam api param punyam nirvanam api. Aham. That means it made me to forget about my own nature. Yeah. In fact, look at the way that many times we go into the dream, we forget totally about the wakeful state and we get so much engrossed in the dream. And the dream is not even pleasant. The dream is, you suffer going through that dream, all the problem that is there, in spite of the fact that you have forgotten your wakeful state nature. Somebody has to beat you up and wake you up and saying that, like, all that you are crying, you are doing is all dream. It's nothing reality. In fact, people come and complain to me saying that I get bad dreams, how to come out of it. It's your dreams, you created that. And that you don't want to come out, you can't come out of it. Yes. Imam api param punyam. Param, that means to say it's beyond this. And then punyam, it's something which is extraordinary. And nirvana dapi, that means to say even the state of nirvana, that is kaivalya. Aham, yena vismarati tasmai sukha yastu namo nama. Hey sukha, hey pleasure, which made me to forget such a wonderful thing. My salutations to you. You are so great, you are so wonderful. My salutations to you. Tvadutpattena te dukkham maya matmanvishta adarat tasmat tvadupadishtoyam mama marge namostute. Oh sorrow. Tadutpattena ye dukkham. Now he comes to dukkha. Oh sorrow, my dear sorrow. I am born by you, and the self was sought to me by me eagerly. After having really gone through all this sorrow, all this suffering, I come to a stage where now you pushed me into seeking for my self. Because of that, this path of mine has been taught to you by. So, if I have come today towards the self, towards nirvana, towards the idea of self-realization, the thanks to you. Because of you, you made me to come to this. In fact, it's very true. It is said that person who has the suffering in the life, then there is a possibility for him to turn towards spirituality. A person who doesn't have that suffering in the life goes on without any suffering, pleasant, easy way. Such a person is a person that who continues to be in the world outside. So, tadutpattena he dukkha, he dukkha, he dukkham, my salutations to you, that mayam atman manishtam adarat tasmad tvadupadishtoyam mama marge. Now he says the third one. So first he said about the idea of about his desires, bhoga, and then second thing is about the first one is about the passion, desire, second one is the bhoga. These two go together. And then the process that when you go, then you are into the pleasures and that you come out of it. And now it is about the sorrow. Sorrow and pleasure, both these things he prays. He does not say only for my salutations to the pleasure, but he also for the pains, for the sorrow that he says his salutations. And then he comes to the next level. That's very interesting that he says, Mitrakaya mayadhyatvam tyajatye tyajyase chirabandhavaha adigamyatma vijnanam swastyanashaha kutaha tvaya. Now he comes to his friend. Oh, my dear friend, my salutations to you. Who is this? Kayaha, that means it is my body. And you have been there with me right from the birth when I came here. And You, the old kinsman, that Maya Tvaja Chirabandavaha. Chirabandava is somebody who is there with me right from the beginning, as if you are just taking care of me, you are careful for me, you are interested in me. So therefore that Chirabandhavaha, and you are abandoned by me today. So now I come to a stage where I leave you behind and go. And this is basically the idea of uh, Jivan Mukti. See, these are the two things that are there. Jivan Mukti, that means when I am in the life, that I am freed from this body. Other is Videha Mukti, that means when I leave this body finally, that time that I go to the freedom. So Jivan Mukti is somebody having acquired the knowledge of the now self, once I know what is the self, and Adhigamya Atma Vijnanam. Atma Vijnanam Adhigamya. Atma Vijnanam, that means knowledge about the self. Adhigamya, that means having crossed that. Swasya nashaha kutaha tvaya. Now, therefore, what happened is that now whatever that you are there, O body, and the day that you are gone, it doesn't matter to me, I am leaving. Because this body is something which is short-lived. Body is something which has come to be here for some time, and once you finish that your duty, everything, you leave, so that I leave me behind. So therefore he says, Mitra Kaya Maya Dyatvam Chajyaste Charabandhavaha Adhigamya Atma Vijnanam Swasya Nashaha Kutaha Krutaha Tvaya. Now he says that Ekakinya Vishuddhyanta Prashante Mayidinaya Tvaya Dukkham Nakat Kartavyam Mataha Tushne Namostute. So he says that behind all those things, the mother of all those things, the great mother of all those things, and that's what now he addresses. Oh mother, that means Mataha, hey Mata, that means oh mother, that he says that the Mamatushne, that means to say my desires, you are my desires, my mother is my desires. Actually, that's very true. The beginning of this life has come because of the desire. It's the desire which brought me to this world. Like the womb of the desire is the one which has given birth to me. Therefore, my desire, O mother, when I am calm and at grief, ought not to be assumed by you who is dejected, alone and withering. Salutations to you. Ekakinya Vishishvantya Prashante Mayadinaya Tvaya Dukkham Nakartavyam. Please don't cry, because I am going to leave this for you. Tushne Namostute. So my salutations to you, my offering of my salutes to you, and then Kshantavya Kama Bhagavan Vaparita Paradyajaha Dosha Upamaikantaha Vrajamyadiva Mangalam. Now he says about Kshantavya Kama Bhagavan. Kama Bhagavan, that means to say, O God by name Kama, the lust, the desire, and O Kama, the desire, O God, the blemishes produced by wrong offenses are fit to be forgiven. All those things, Kama Bhagavan, Viparita Paradyajaha, that means to say, all those things which are like negatives that have happened because of my karma, because of through you that all those things that are doshaha, upashamaikantaha, that means to say all those things that be forgiven. All those things, leave it alone. My salutations to you. I go to the state of absolute tranquility. And Vrajamya Diva Mangalam. So Vrajamya Disha Upashamaikantam Vrajamya Disha Mangalam. Such a beautiful way that you say that it is your grace, it's your grace that, oh, desire, it is your grace, oh, lust, that it is your grace that makes me to go beyond, fly beyond. If you did not have that grace, there is no way that I could have come out of it. But for you, I would not have anything else help me to come out of that. So therefore, I offer my salutations to you. There is nothing like negativity about it. Namaha Sakrita Devaya Bhavatestu Tvaya Pura Narakebhya Samuttarthaha Swargeham Abhiyojitaha. Salutations to you, O deity of virtues act. Namaha Sukrita Devaya. Sukrita Devaya, that means a god of virtues, god of Indra, god of virtues, and Bhavatestu Tvaya Puraha, formerly having been delivered from the hells. In the beginning, what happens is that this is how the whole life is. We try to do all the good activities, good virtuous activities, and all those things to see that you free yourself from the hell. Otherwise, every religion, at very simple statement, every religion says you do those things, then you go to the hell. If you do these things, that you are freed from the hell, you come out of the hell, and then you go towards the heaven. So we all have very clear distinction between the heaven and hell. And very clear, simple thing is in Bhagavad Gita also says that Asuri Sampati is that which takes you to the hell. Daivi Sampati is which takes you to the heaven. Asuri Sampati is the one which binds you. Daivi Sampati is which gives you freedom. Teja Kshama Dhutish Shaucham Adroho Natikamana Gamana. These are all the things which are supposed to be Daivi Sampati. Whereas Krodho Parushyame Dambho Darpo Vimanasya, all those things are supposed to be Asuri Sampat. That means the more and more that you practice those things, you go to the hell. And the hell is the place where that you are got into greater bondage and greater suffering, and all those things are there. Therefore, it is often said that this is what is the common sense, or this what is the moral sin that we talk about, is the one: don't do bad so that you go to hell, do good so that you go to heaven. And therefore, hitis namaha Sukruta Devaya. Sukruta, that means to say, those energies that are within, which are useful only for doing good. Sukruta Devaya. Bhavatestu Tvaya Puraha. That means already been with you, having been now bestowed on me. Narakebhyaha Samuttarya, that means to say, you are taking us beyond this, saving me from the naraka that you have done. Sargaham abhiyojataha. You took me towards the heaven. I was joined to heaven by you. You have facilitated me to go to the heaven. So, bhavataha sahajaha prana praktana suhrudo maya kramena jyot krutanunam swasti vostu vrajamyaham. Now, the next thing is that he says, my salutations to this prana. This prana is something which is extraordinary. And this prana, I have respect for you, O prana, because even before I was born, you are ready to receive me. And then you have given birth to me together when I was born. Without you, that there was nothing like me existing in this world. Yes, right from the beginning, that when the soul enters, when the person enters into the womb, the first thing they see is that there is an activity that's going on. There's a heart that is beating. Then they announce that yes, the child is there and the child is in the womb. It's 1 month or 2 months. That means to say that Spandana has started, Prana Spandana has started with it. Even before that I had any of this form or anything like that. At that level, I was only the form of a Spandana. So therefore, hey vital energies, hey prana, bhavantaha sahajaha prana, praktanaha suhrudo maya. Wow, together with me in my heart, being close to my heart, as my heart, you develop. Kramena jyotkruta nunam swasti vostu vrajamyaham. And today you are indeed gradually, you are there with me, and on the day when I leave this, you leave from me, I come out of you, and therefore my salutations to you, my farewell to you. Vrajami, aham vrajami. Then I allow this verse to astu vrajami aham. That means to say, when I depart, I offer you my farewell. This is what is the prayer that we say about all these various vitals. So it is nothing to be hated, nothing to be, everything is respectful, and everything in some way or the other helping us to see that we go beyond. Kevali Bhava, the state of aloneness, final liberation. This aloneness is something that we need to understand. The Kevala Sthiti, aloneness. It is not, often what we are is in the loneliness. We are not in the aloneness. We don't have the experience of aloneness. Loneliness, difference between the loneliness and aloneness, and probably in English language it doesn't make much of a difference. But then from the Vedantic point of view, it gives such a big difference. Loneliness is where that you are alone, but at the same time, you have always somebody at the background, somebody behind, somebody is taking care of you. You would like to have that kind of an assurance. It's like the way that you are, climbing up the hill, that all these rock climbers that they have tied themselves by a rope. So that means to say there is no fear of falling. They might slip but then fall, but that means to say they always have something to hold on to them, something holding on to them. Somewhere or the other, something is holding on to you. So this is how basically that there is what is called as, you have somebody somewhere, but then you are away from that, therefore you feel lonely. The solution for loneliness is that you go back to that person, you fight and do all those things. This is what happened to Sita. Sita was there in Ravana's place, but then in Ravana's place, Sita was there. She was not alone, she was lonely. That means to say, she always used to feel that one day or the other Rama will come and take her. And that assurance was there, that faith is there. And then therefore she was desperately waiting for that. Loneliness is a pain, loneliness is a suffering. And you would like to come out of that loneliness. Even a person like Sita wanted to come out of that loneliness. Look at yourself. Are you lonely? And then you would better need to have somebody or the other to take care of it. Family is there, children are there. People say that even this body is going, that they created that kind of an idea that you are not lonely, because basically that your own ideas are carried by your son, your next siblings, and then they carry you. So therefore somebody or the other take care of it. So therefore that loneliness, you always find somebody who can take away that loneliness. That's what is the solution. Whereas aloneness is something which is much more real. It has nothing like a solution, because it's not even a problem. That's what is your ness. You're absolutely alone. You came to this world alone. You leave this world alone. And the family that you choose is absolutely your own. And that's how loneliness is something which is pain, whereas aloneness is something which is like a blessing. And Kevala Sthiti is that state of aloneness. Evam kalitavan antaha prashanta manasa saidshanaha shanairuchya yasthat pranabam prapya bhumikaha. So Veeta havya, who has thus reckoned within his thinking and seeking, calmed, subdued in the yogic step, the state of transcendence, one abandoning the subtle elements of the senses, sound, touch and all those things, and slowly uttering the mystic syllable of Om, he then abandoned the mere darkness that followed. Then having meditated for a moment upon the light arising from the form, the luster, spreading far and wide, and having given up this alone, he was, which was neither darkness nor illuminating. Evam kalitavan antaha prashanta mananaishanaha shaneiruchyara yam tasyam pranavaha prapta bhumikaha jahindras tanmatraha tamo matram jaho tataha uttishta praspuradrupam kshanam tejo vicharyasa tyaktva tam cha vibhuvacha tamocha prakashana. Now this whole journey is like this, that this pranava, he brings about this pranava. Pranava has, earlier also we discussed, and this also further discussion. Pranava has four padas. First three padas, that is Aum, belong to the world outside. But then this combination of Aum in this world of Pranava is such a way that it dissolves everything and then finally it itself gets eliminated, leaving the mind to silence. Or you go transcending the mind. And when you transcend the mind, that's what is the state of Kevala. That's what is the state of aloneness. That silence is not mere silence, but that silence is supposed to be a silence which is a strength in itself, an assurance within itself, a completeness within itself. And that is what is the purpose of chanting the pranava. And this pranava, all those elements will get merged. Avum merges all the thoughts that are there. And all the other sense inputs are also that is there included in these thoughts that we have. Objectivity, it has got particular smell, particular taste, shape, and all those things. They are all embedded in that. Whatever that we call it as 5 different senses inputs that are there, they're all embedded in that one word that is there. And that's the reason why the moment I say mango, you immediately remember about the mango with all its color, fruit, flower, this, that, everything that is there together with that. So everything is involved in that. That's what is the way pranava. And all that once we say pranava, everything merges itself into pranava and pranava leads to silence. That silence is a state which is supposed to be the atyanta abhava abhava. That means a bhava of the kevala sthiti. And that is what we need to get into. Now, let me take up one sutra from this original Yoga Vasistha. Hey Rama, Vasistha says, giving these ideas, Jnana nirdukkata meti, jnanad ajana samshayaha, jnanadeva parasiddhi, nanyasmat Rama vastutaha. Ho Rama, Vasistha tells to Rama, this knowledge that you are the Kevala, you are the aloneness, you are somebody which is beyond anything that is there, deep inside that you are alone. And this is what Jnana Nirdukkatameti. Once you reach this particular Jnana, you are alone, you are lonely, you are not lonely, you are alone. Nirdukkatameti. The question of dukkha does not exist there. Dukkha is there only when something else is there, somebody else is there. And dukkha is there when somebody else is there, but far away from. What you want is not there in front of you. What you don't want is there right in front of you. Ravana, you don't want in front of you, he is there. Rama, you wanted that he is far away. That's what is dukkha. So, jnana nirdukkatameti. The moment that you reach that jnana sthiti, it takes us to that nirdukkatam. We try to run away from dukkha. That's what is our perception always is. But it says that when you run away from dukkha, that means to say again you can get back into the dukkha. Because it's like a pendulum. You go on one side, comes back again. So both these things are there. Therefore it is not the question of running away from dukkha, but to say a state where there is no dukkhatva at all. There is nothing like dukkha or sukha. Jnana niduktameti jnana ajana samshayaha. Jnanam, and then with the jnana, that ajana samshayaha, that means to say non-knowledge, lack of the knowledge is completely dissolved. And only the way that a non-knowledge, lack of knowledge is dissolved is with the help of jnana. And there's another important aspect is that you don't have to wait for long. The moment that you have the jnana is gone. Or the real test of litmus test of having jnana is that ajnana, you laugh at it. Like earlier it has given, the way that you pay respect to it and say, please leave me alone. I'm fine with myself. This is what is the way that you say, jnanad ajana sankshayaha, jnanadeva parasiddhi, nanyasmat Rama vastutaha. Now, only through this particular jnana, you see that something what is beyond. And a journey to the beyond is to be established by really that jnana. Jnana should give you the idea that there is nothing in this knowledge, but you try to transcend that. It only gives that. That's why it is often said that somebody who does not know, then he will still have a hesitation because that he still thinks that he doesn't know so many things which can really take him beyond. But somebody who is a jnani, he says that there is nothing like beyond at all. It's all here only. Jnanadeva parasiddhi. That parasiddhi, that one thing that is beyond, can only be achieved with the help of jnana. Nanyasmat Rama Vastutaha. Then there is nothing which is greater than jnana. Ultimately, it is the jnana, the knowledge of the self, the knowledge of the Supreme, is the one which takes us beyond. And not only that, when we say there is another important aspect is when we say knowledge, it means that we become that knowledge. That's why prajnanam brahma, prakashera jnanamiti brahma. This is what is the way Upanishad Vakya says that it is this knowledge that's what is me. It's the knowledge that's what is Brahman. And you become one with the knowledge. So, harsha marsha vikarananam jivan mukta bhavadrushaha nakechana vashamyanti mrugendraha shikinamiva. Hey Rama, you know, the king of the forest is a lion. And you can see the majesty of the lion, the way that lion walks. That's what is. Mrugendra. Mrugendra is that the king of the lion animals. That's what is. All these things that are there in the form of various other smaller things, which he calls it as here, in the form of the peacocks that are there, he says, Shikinamiva, and Keta, Vashanam Yanti. That means, however number of birds that may be there, however number of various other smaller animals are there, they just can't bind king. King is something which is beyond. King doesn't even notice them. And that's what is the way. Once you become like the king of the lion, king of the forest, that's what is the lion. Nothing will touch you. It is growing to that height. That's what is very important rather than trying to run away from that. So this is what is called as a jivan. You are in the world, you are with the jiva, the life is there, and then you are involving in everything that is there in this world. But you are so convinced within you, you are so enamored by the idea of that divine quality that's there within you, Brahmic quality that's there within you, that you don't get caught up with all these small little simple things. Even if you get caught up for a short period of time, it's like a play. It's not beyond that. Nothing is beyond that. Like a play, you involve and then come out of it. Like for example, Parashurama was supposed to be somebody like that, and then Brahmagyani with all that. Suddenly Bhishma goes to him, and then prompted by Narada, Amba goes to him and says that, look, your disciple is, and Amba is a quite young girl and then beautiful girl, and then naturally that Parashurama had compassion for her, and then she complains over Bhishma. Hey, Bhishma is your disciple. He said, yeah. But then he deserted me. Because of him, I spoiled his life. Parashurama said, no, it cannot happen that you go. He should get you. He should marry you. So I'll tell him. And then he calls Bhishma, and Bhishma comes and bows in front of him. And Parashurama says that, look, you are my disciple. Yes. So you ask, whatever that I ask, you will do it. Yes. But then you should marry this Amba. So then I can't do it because I have already given a word that for a lifetime I will not marry. But then I will fight with you. Bhishma says, yeah, I can fight with you. That we can do it. So they get into the fight. And they are fighting and fighting and fighting. After a while, Parashurama says, what is that I'm locked up in these things? Let me just forget about it. Just left everything. Amba was just surprised. He said, what happened to the whole thing? You're not caught up anything. It is just like waking up. So therefore, that you just don't get caught up in that. So all these things that are there, Nakechana vasham yanti mrugendra shikinamiva. Like the way that all these peacocks are there, or the small animals are there, they are there. But then lion doesn't mind them, just go beyond that. Jivan mukti shariranam katamatma vidam vara shaktiyo neha drishyante akasha gamanadika. So how that you say that Jivan Mukti Sharira, how can you go all these particular various powers, various activities that they do? Vasistha replies to Rama saying that Yad vichitram kriya jalam drishyate gamyate punaha ramavastu swabhavo sau natatma vedatam matam. Hey Rama, all these things, whatever that you see, they may be very peculiar things, they might look to be very fascinating for you, but please understand that they are all that they have swabhava. That means say their body has that capacity to do that. Their chemistry has the capacity to do that. Their structure, they have capacity to do that, and there is nothing which is like a miracle in that. Like the way birds fly, their structure is like that. The fish swim in the water, they don't even take any air. It is a structure. So nature has all these structures created by various things, and then they do it. Like that in the human being also, there are several people who have several kinds of structural details that are there, and that's what they go by, and nothing which is supposed to be the one. You should be enamored by that. In fact, these are the things which you are enamored, they misguide you, and that is what is the way that you get caught up into that. Now, now chitta nasha, because all these things are within the chitta, Vasistha says there are two ways that chitta nasha can be done. Dividaha chitta nashosti, sarupa arupa evacha. Chitta nasha can happen in two ways. One is called as with sarupa, that is rupa sahita, and another is arupa, that means without rupa. Jivan mukto sarupa syat, arupo deha mukti jaha. So videha mukti jaha. So therefore these are the two types of people who are there. One kind of people are the people who are the heart level people. That means to say they are the people who deal with the things in the heart level. And these are the people that they live in this world, they get involved in this world, they will be with this world, but at the same time, they are free in their heart. This is what is supposed to be Jivan Muktaha. And these are the people who are Sarupa. Sarupa means basically the world is important for them and everything is important for them. They get involved, but at the same time they are not caught up in that. But there is another kind of people, and that is what Arupaha Deha Muktijaha. That means to say Videha Muktijaha. These are the people who sit in Himalayas, who are all alone, who do not involve in the world. And then they are totally free, and for them it is the Arupa. So one is Sarupa and the other Arupa. That means that they don't require a Rupa, they don't care for anything else. It is not just only the people who are at the highest level, but you can see in this world also. These people who are at the heart level are the people who are Sarupa. Those who are at the head level, intellect level, they are the people who are Arupa. So please understand that you are a Sarupa, that means that you are at the heart level, but then you will not be able to understand somebody who is at the head level, intellect level, and he doesn't deal with that Sarupa. That's why we have these two different kind of images of God. One is Vishnu, who has all kinds of things that are there around. He lies down in the milk ocean, and he's with all that money, everything. He belongs to the world outside. Whereas another thing is the Shiva, and Shiva is on the top of the Himalayas. He doesn't wear even proper clothes. Only thing he will have, Krishnajanam, that's what is the one that he wears. And Vibhuti is the one he protects himself from the cold. And with all those things, he doesn't get involved in the world. He's free from that. So those people who get attracted by the Shiva are the people who are Arupa. Those people are attracted by the Vishnu are supposed to be Sarupa. Both these things are there, both these natures are there in the human being, the world outside. We should understand that, we should relate that only with that. Whatever that you belong to that you identify with that. And then therefore, with that, you can make your spiritual journey right way. If you do not belong to that particular group and then you try to follow the journey of something else, that's why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he made some of his disciples as the sannyasis. There are some people he made as grahastha disciples. And grahasthas are the people that have followed the bhakti path, they are the sarupa path. Whereas the sannyasins are the jnana part, they are the arupa part. So these are the two ways, dvividaha chittanashosti. There are two ways that chittanasha can happen. But you recognize that these are the two different types of people. Another way also we can look at these things is the sarupa are the people who are the extrovert. And then whereas arupa are the people who are introvert. They don't require any rupa. That's the kind of thing. So with these, both these two different types of psychologies that they are catered to, they are provided with the path. So ultimately, what is the idea? Chittanasha is the most important idea that we need to get it. Jivan Mukta or Videha Mukta, these are the two types of qualities of the people that sadhakas that we find. So how these things happen, what are the journeys that they make, we'll try to see in the next class. Thank you so much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.